started or triggered it for you, and you left the job that you had, invested everything into starting Kathalaya. How were you? There was no social media per se like how we have today. So how was the word going to spread? You had one big workshop on hand. How are you intending to take this forward?
Yeah, it was not easy at all. We had to print things for which I used to travel all the way to Cotton Bed, choose the paper on which we have to print. I've gone in the mornings, early mornings, to places where they used to put pamphlets in the newspapers. And I used to get these pamphlets printed because we had to spread the word that we are storytellers. I even went to a very popular person today who is very, very popular as a storyteller and a story writer. She had her organization right up our road in Bannerghatta. But even she was not very, she said, what storytelling are you doing? If you want, we can give books for the poor people, but I don't know what you're talking about. So it was not easy to ask people to give something because storytelling was not measurable. If we would ask someone that we wanted to paint a classroom or paint, give the clothes to the children, then they knew that it was measurable. So for so many uniforms, so much donation. But donation for telling stories was not very easy to get. And it was a new field. So nobody understood what it was. The schools, they said our teachers are good storytellers. So, and every time I almost like kind of thought this is the end and we can't continue further because we also need funds. We had someone or the other, one beautiful soul who would come forward and say, I'll help you. And this happened at every stage in life. So first we got from India Foundation for Arts. He said, I'll give you 5 lakhs for a year and you take the storytelling to 5 schools. Try it out. And I can fund you only for 1 year. But see how you can sustain yourself. Now the problem was I didn't have time to think about how to sustain myself because we were busy spending that money and going to schools and doing all this. So we had to invent new strategies. So we discovered a lot of things, necessity is always a mother of invention, right? So we started thinking, okay, let's do one thing in schools. If they don't want to give a regular storytelling period, then we will take them out on stories on wheels. We invented that. That is, we'll take them out for a trip. We'll call it out of classroom experience. We'll teach them. We'll ask them to do a project. For instance, take them to Kokkerebellur, talk to them about birds, and actually have them to see and to project and to, learn about what are the different types of birds that come there, and so explain what are the migratory birds, how are the wings, what is the wingspan, and make a project and display it for the parents and teachers to see. So these are things, strategies that we had to come up with, for which the people were ready to pay because it was one more trip outside, and like then we used to do also trips for one company called Bosch. At that time, they wanted us to take the people out for cultural tours, especially those who are coming from Germany. Now, the payment was very good. At that time, we needed money and we had made it a trust. So, we used to take them out to Mysore and other places. And there, we used to give them little booklets on what all you find along the way. What is a, geological setup of Ramnagaram, or why are the rocks over here? Why is it rocky here? All those things. So it was interesting. Every time we had to learn, we had to new. So right from beginning, we had to think of strategies but not give up. Somehow I never felt I should give this up. I always felt it can be adopted, it can be adapted, but somehow reach the goal of integrating concepts with stories in learning in education. That was the main motto. But spread it all over else because we had to get money for that. And so one more trust that Tata Trust came forward said, we will fund you for training programs. Can you do 27 training programs in Chhattisgarh, Kodaikanal tribals, and reach out to women who are not having this facility and empower them so that in their Anganwadis, in their schools, they can take it. So there, thank God I was equipped with many languages. So I used to do it in the local language. And that is one more way that I started traveling. I started doing. So there was no time to wait and to reflect at all, whether I'm doing the right thing or not, whether adapting, customizing it, writing down. And then those days you have to write proposals. There was no social media connect, nothing. So we had to like, if at all we had to have a public event, it was quite a problem. We had to go to the newspapers, of course, and tell them, write a column and give it to the editor and say, can you just announce this for us, like, and so that's when we came up with the idea of a festival actually. And also the idea that came up was at the Academy of Storytelling, because I thought children were always ready to listen to stories, but the children can't pay. The elders have to pay. The elders are not ready to give you money for storytelling. So how do we get money? So I thought if we convince the older people that it's important to teaching them how to fish than rather than giving them a fish. That is when the academy came up in mind. And by the time, one very beautiful hearted soul, I've always had these beautiful souls coming from different places to kind of, I think it was in the air. This man called Bill Drayton, he was in the Ashoka Foundation office in Washington, and he decided to give an Ashoka fellowship. Only one person from one country would be given then. And imagine I was selected from India to so he helped me with a stipend for 3 years to carry the storytelling. Only clause was it should be replicable. Okay, so like this, we got funds, and we were only trying to balance between this bag and that bag. Innovation, adapting storytelling to different situations, filling the bag with money so that it can be rotated for other purposes. So it was quite sleeping at 2 in the morning and getting up at 4 in the morning, just 2 hours of sleep, and then the house, so many things. Thank God my child had grown up by that time. So she was able to manage a little bit. And though I always also decided I'll never carry any guilt in my mind. I was never a person, as I told you, as a happy person. So whatever within my thing I could provide for her, I did. Whatever I could provide for the house, but I never carried any guilt. I said I like to do what I'm doing, and the step taken forward, I said I will not retrace it back. So this attitude I had, and continued and continued, and then I think we uh, finally the academy was we had an office. In 2003 we had the first academy course, and at that time I had to go to US for some reason, again for a marriage, but automatically stumbled upon a person who runs a storytelling organization. He decided to fund us. Again, he told that he will pay for the first festival and for he give us affiliation for our academy. Just imagine. So I gave him the academy notes. He said, "It's wonderful. Just start. I'm there to support you." So it was such a wonderful thing that he sent the affiliation certificate from US, and my certificate right from the first course had affiliated to the United States. And here in India, if you have something from abroad, it is more recognized. So that brought us the first recognition, because otherwise storytelling was viewed very frivolously. But first time people started opening their eyes and said, okay, so there is storytelling, which is an art, and it has to be learned, and we have to know the techniques, things like that. So the same year, 2005, we had the first international festival. It went into the Limca Book of Records. And I think that was another eye opener for storytelling. And so on and so forth. Slowly, people started calling us from around the world and from around India. And so there is no place I don't think I've not set foot upon, right from the Himalayas to Kanyakumari in the south in India, and from the west, Gujarat to east, Tripura, where I go every year. I go to many places abroad every year. We have set up about 18 storytelling space centers, learning centers, including one in Ireland and one in Bogota in Colombia. So now looking back, I think how did it all happened. Because I